This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
Welcome to the Ghee Spot podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us for conversations around sex, spirit, and all things self-care. All things self-care. All things self-care.
This is a journey into sound.
Hey everybody! Welcome to the Ghee Spot. I'm Katie Silcox, coming to you from the Shakti School here in Charlottesville, Virginia. We are so excited to announce that our upcoming Ayurveda school training for amazing women on this planet that are ready to make change inside their own bones, inside their own structure, inside their own nervous system, inside their own emotional body, inside their own thought process. We have an incredible school for you. This school is based on my almost 20 years of study in Ayurveda and tantric forms of yoga, as well as incredible new inspirations and inquiries in the realms of neuroscience and somatic body experiencing, and my particular forte and specialty, which is working with the bones and meditating in the bones and moving into deeper states of parasympathetic nervous system, which is so important for all of us today. So check that out in our show notes. It's starting in January of 2019, and we would love to have you. We're already about 100 women. It's so freaking exciting. So get your booty in there if you have an open heart and enjoy being in supportive female gathering spaces, which really is what it is. So join us there in January. So what's on the agenda today? We're coming off on the heels of a pretty wild, chaotic couple of weeks in the United States. We've been dealing with the election of our new Supreme Court Justice and basically just a slap in the face to everything related to women's rights and sexual predation that is so rampant on this planet. And so, man, a lot of us have been feeling our feelings, you know. And one of the things that I really want to discuss that has been particularly challenging for me to learn, and, you know, I'm still learning all these things, but it's this fact that your feelings about things aren't necessarily an indication of how good or bad you're doing. And that's really important to remember. Like, we can be in the throes of having experience and emotion and even sensation in our body, whether it be in our relationships or our daily life or in relation to what's going on the bigger socio-political scale. And, you know, if we're doing our meditation and we're working with moving patterns out of our body and out of our nervous system and getting the structure and the function of our body in a more optimal state, oftentimes it feels bad, honestly. It feels worse sometimes. And so I just want to offer you that as a piece of consolation. It's something that I have to remind myself. Like, the way we feel has nothing to do with how well we are functioning. This is a radical idea. Most of Western medicine and even Eastern medicine is based on the idea that something is deficient and faulty in you. And so we want to make you feel better. And it's an additive process. So I'm going to add on, right? Sometimes it's a subtractive process, like in the case of surgeries. But typically when we think about medicine and healing, it's like something doesn't feel right. And so that's when we reach for the doctor. That's when we reach for the shaman or the priest or the yoga mat. And what I'm really coming to now, and what I challenge you to think about, is sometimes when you're actually moving into a better functional state, it can feel worse. And a great example is this movement that we're all in, right? Where we're bringing things that are from the past to the surface, things like the Me Too movement and women's rights movements, different movements from minorities in our country. You know, those people look kind of angry. And Oftentimes when we are in a collapsed state, coming out of that requires us feeling other feelings like anger and frustration and sadness. And so what we really focus on here in Shakti School and in all of our programs is about really holding a lot of space around that which arises as a result of becoming more functional and more adaptive and more tuned to reality as it is. We think about the feeling of being peaceful as an inner state that feels good, but that's really not what always happens. You can be in the space of peace and acceptance and even ease around your life and have really challenging physical, emotional, and mental circumstances going on. Peace isn't just a mental concept. Peace is a way of being in the world whereby we are awake and aware and we aren't labeling things as good, bad, right, or wrong all the time. This feeling radiates out of our heart and into our energy body and our emotional body, and even later stages starts to affect our thought forms. And so thinking about making peace with people is actually a little bit of a misunderstanding. Peace is something that emerges when I rest in the experience of reality as it is. This isn't something that we can achieve or that we can do. It's actually just more physical and mental manipulation, all these things of doing. It's really our task in this practice of Tantra to bring awareness to what is, to bring awareness to what is, right? And what is maybe something that's actually standing in the way of peace. But that peace is always underneath. That peace is always there. So today I want to do a short practice around just getting out of this idea of, and there's a paradox in all great traditions and teachings, and that is the whole idea is to not do, right? And to be with what is. And yet we have to practice that. There is an aspect of practice that's involved. Meditation is something that you have to actually do. Moving your body and exercising is something you have to actually do. And so there is an aspect of doing. But I want us to start thinking about that doing as a way of uncovering our innate vibrational nature. And our innate vibrational nature, whether we're talking about our physical body or our mental emotional body, is wellness, is ease, is blissful. And that doesn't mean that you don't experience pain and suffering within that. All can be held. And yet we are entering into a realm that isn't as much mental as it is vibrational, being with reality as it is. And so thinking about working with your body less as doing and more undoing or not doing by awakening our attention to our body. So much of our conflict in our mind comes from the storage of old movement patterns in the body that have attached to an old memory. And so that's why movement practices are so beautiful and helpful at rewiring our entire brain. Most people don't realize that our emotional body is linked to our movement patterns. And so I can sit in a chair and think things all day long and maybe not get to a place where I'm functioning better. We have to move energy. Emotion, literally energy, in motion. We have to keep things moving. And these movements don't have to be wild and crazy, although they certainly can, but they can be subtle and small. And so today we'll do a practice whereby we're bringing awareness just to the way our body moves and our bones. And the bones are a really great place to focus because the structure actually dictates which nervous system you're in, fight or flight or parasympathetic, rest and ease and just being in reality, nothing's wrong kind of place. So today we're going to do a short practice of doing and not doing all at once. And so easy. I want to teach you one. And we do an incredible amount of these in Shakti school and in Ayurveda school, where I teach you different what I call body yantras or focal points and in your body that you can pay attention to. And so yantra is a sacred symbol, a geometric form that represents an actual energetic phenomenon. And your body itself is the Sri Yantra, or the most resplendent geometric form of all. And so as we do this, we're making our body a temple. We're making it holy. We're inseminating our structure with the light of our attention. And as soon as we do this, the unconscious brain begins to rewire and restructure you to where you need to be. And so as we move into this practice, what I encourage you to contemplate, and maybe a new idea, but what I'm working on personally, and what I've had to go through a lot of undoing of a lot of the quote yoga that I've learned, which is very much about controlling the body. The false belief that many of us are walking around with is my unconscious brain doesn't know how to take care of my body, and therefore I must use my conscious brain to control it. And so when we do this form of practice that we do at Shakti School, what you're doing is just simply paying attention to the reality of your bones and the reality of your different organs and the reality of your nerves and the reality of your physical body, which is a really good place to pay attention because it's real and it's here. Right? And as you do that, your unconscious brain is going to put you where you need to be, and you're going to feel the way you need to feel, and the sensations that need to arise will arise. And overall, your whole entire system will start to self-adjust towards wellness. Your body is always trying to bring you into balance. So let's just do one of these beautiful little practices. So sitting wherever you are, if you're driving, you can still put your hands here. Just be careful with the movements. In fact, probably don't do them if you're driving. This is best done seated somewhere, preferably a non-moving vehicle. And I want you to take your right hand and I want you to just slide it up the back of your head, right behind your ear. And you're going to find this bone, this big bone back there called your mastoid. And if you're like, where is that? I don't really know if I'm on the right bone. Just run your hand up the back of your neck, right behind the ear, and you're going to feel a little bone pop out. And you can also, of course, always Google these places and you'll find great diagrams. So your right hand's there. And now I want you to take your left hand and I want you to find your jaw. And I want you to slide your hand to the outside of your jaw, and you're going to find that your jaw has a little pointy corner. And I want you to find those 2 points and just simply let your awareness be on these 2 points on the right side for a few minutes. Not trying to fix anything, just paying attention to these 2 points. Keep your mind in these 2 points. Mind wanders, just gently bring it back to paying attention. You're not doing anything. You're not fixing anything. You're just simply being aware. This jawbone is here, and this mastoid bone is here. You may already get the sense that they will move slightly. You won't feel the movement, but your hands might slide, and it's very subtle usually. Good. And now put your left hand, you can lower your right hand, put your left hand on the mastoid and the jaw on your left side, and just see if you can get the sense of a different feeling or sense of the right and the left. You'll probably feel them kind of differently. And then we'll do this side. So find the left jaw corner and the left mastoid. If the mind wanders, that's totally normal. We're not used to paying attention to such a limited reality. Just go back. Mastoid, jaw, and you may already get the sense of an emotion releasing or an old memory. People tend to hold a lot of tension in this area, and that may start to open and widen. As we move into more parasympathetic state, the jaw widens, the mastoids move up and back. There's just more room for blood to flow to the brain. Great. And now you can use one hand, put your hand on both sides, and just get a sense if they feel a little different than when you first started. And what I recommend now is taking this out into the world. Go out and take a walk. Take this to your yoga or exercise class. Take this to your daily errands. Take this to when you're working in front of the computer, but particularly take this to when you're moving. And I want you to notice these 2 points as you're moving and just be with them. And over time, your body your brain actually begins to get a lot of information about your structure by paying attention to your bones throughout the day. If at any time you start to sense that your structure is kind of going in and kind of getting tight in towards the midline, you can just it literally takes 3 minutes to do both sides. Just come back to your bones, and your bones are real. And I hope you're feeling just a little bit more peaceful and that you enjoyed this little practice. This is a teeny, teeny, tiny taste of what we do at Shakti School. We do the whole body. We map our whole being. So check out the show notes. Join us at one of our live events. We have a monthly subscription program for $18 where I give you guys video and audio of all these things once a month. So check that out. And subscribe to the podcast. It helps us when you subscribe and when you give us good ratings, other people can find us. All right, beauties, have a great day and enjoy your mastoid bones and your jaw.
Beautiful.